Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we've got some seriously exciting stuff coming to Switch and the upcoming Switch 2, and honestly, I couldn't wait to share this with you. We're counting down the top 40 new and upcoming games that you absolutely need to keep on your radar. Whether you're into stealth action, fighting games, or something completely out of left field, this list has something for everyone. Let's jump right in. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 is scheduled to release on August 27, 2026, bringing together later entries in the series with a strong focus on tactical, stealth gameplay, and cinematic storytelling. The collection centers on Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, continuing the narrative arcs of Solid Snake and Big Boss in a more advanced era of the timeline. Gameplay revolves around infiltration, enemy awareness systems, gadget usage, and strategic movement rather than direct combat, encouraging players to study patrol patterns and adapt to each situation. MGS4 introduces dynamic camouflage, large battlefields with multiple tactical routes, and seamless in-engine cutscenes that blend story and gameplay, while Peace Walker shifts to a mission-based structure with base management, co-op boss fights, and customizable loadouts. Together, the package offers a slower, methodical stealth experience with deep mechanics, layered storytelling, and modernized controls for Switch and Switch 2. Virtua Fighter 5 R.E.V.O. World Stage is set to release on March 26, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a refined version of Sega's classic 3D fighting experience built around precision, realism, and technical mastery. The gameplay focuses on the series' signature 3-button combat system, where timing, spacing, counters, and martial art styles matter more than flashy mechanics, creating fast but deeply skill-based matches. A major addition is the new World Stage mode, a single-player progression mode where players travel through different stages and face AI opponents modeled after real competitive playstyles, encouraging long-term improvement and character mastery. The game also supports crossplay and rollback netcode for smoother online battles, alongside updated balance changes, combos, and training improvements. Story is minimal and tournament-focused, revolving around elite fighters preparing for the 5th World Fighting Tournament, keeping the experience centered on competitive progression rather than a cinematic narrative. Star Trek Voyager: Across the Unknown, released on February 18, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2 and other platforms, offering a story-driven survival strategy experience set in the Delta Quadrant. The game begins with the USS Voyager stranded 70,000 light-years from Earth after a catastrophic event, forcing the crew to survive, repair the ship, and slowly navigate a long journey home. Gameplay focuses on strategic ship management rather than direct action, where players assign crew roles, manage resources, research technologies, and make difficult diplomatic or tactical decisions that shape the narrative. It features roguelike elements with procedurally generated missions, alliances, and events across multiple sectors, creating different outcomes and high replayability. The story uses a what-if system that allows players to alter key events and character fates, while branching choices lead to multiple endings. The experience is slower, text-heavy, and decision-driven, blending interactive fiction, exploration, and leadership mechanics into a methodical sci-fi strategy journey centered on survival and storytelling. Lost Hellden is an upcoming action JRPG scheduled to release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch and other platforms, featuring a story-rich adventure set in the world of R.E.V.O, where society is shaped by the concept of the 7 deadly sins, and follows twins Sifil and Let as their unusual fate leads to a journey of self-discovery, conflict, and hidden conspiracies. The gameplay centers on a unique, phased battle system that blends real-time action with turn-based strategy, requiring players to manage timing, positioning, elemental abilities, and team-based tactics during combat. Players control a party of 8 highly customizable characters with different classes, skill trees, and equipment builds that encourage flexible playstyles and long-term progression. Exploration takes place in a hand-painted, deep 2D world with dynamic environments, hidden items, side activities, and a vast, narrative-driven structure, while the overall experience focuses on strategic combat depth, cinematic storytelling, and character development rather than fast-paced action, delivering a modern but classically inspired JRPG journey. Splatoon Raiders is an upcoming spin-off in the Splatoon series announced in 2025 for Nintendo Switch 2, and it currently does not have a confirmed release date. Unlike the traditional multiplayer-focused entries, this game shifts toward a more exploration-driven adventure experience set on the mysterious Spearhalite Islands, where players take on the role of a mechanic accompanied by the Deep Cut Trio. Gameplay appears to focus on exploration, resource gathering, environmental interaction, and possibly light survival and base-related systems, while still retaining the franchise's signature ink mechanics and colorful world design. Instead of competitive matches, the structure is more single-player and narrative-oriented, encouraging players to uncover secrets, investigate the islands, and progress through story events tied to a crash landing scenario. The overall experience seems slower and more discovery-focused, blending adventure gameplay with familiar Splatoon-style movement, traversal, and creative mechanics in a new, story-driven format. Tomodachi Life: Living the Dream is scheduled to release on April 16, 2026 for Nintendo Switch, with full compatibility on Nintendo Switch 2, bringing back the series' life simulation formula with expanded customization and deeper social systems. The gameplay revolves around creating Miis who live together on a shared island where their personalities, relationships, and daily routines evolve dynamically based on player input and random interactions. Players can give them food, clothes, gifts, and interior decorations while influencing friendships, rivalries, and romances that unfold in unpredictable ways. The sequel introduces more detailed Mii customization, improved personality traits, and greater control over social development, alongside larger island customization options that make the world feel more personal and reactive. Instead of a traditional story, the game focuses on emergent, slice-of-life narratives shaped by the Mii's behaviors and choices, delivering a sandbox-style experience centered on creativity, humor, and long-term observation rather than structured objectives or linear progression. 007 First Light is an upcoming third-person action-adventure game set to release on May 27, 2026 for Nintendo Switch, 2, and other platforms, presenting an original origin story that follows a young James Bond during his early days in MI6 as he works toward earning his 00 status. The gameplay blends stealth, espionage, and cinematic action, allowing players to approach missions through infiltration, gadget usage, combat, or strategic decision-making depending on the situation. Missions are designed with a forward momentum structure that encourages adaptability, combining stealth routes, dynamic encounters, driving sequences, and set-piece moments across globe-trotting locations. Players will use spy tools, environmental interactions, and tactical positioning, rather than relying solely on direct combat, creating a balanced gameplay loop between stealth and action. The story focuses on Bond's growth as an inexperienced agent, exploring his relationships with key MI6 figures while delivering a narrative-driven experience centered on espionage, character development, and cinematic storytelling. Pokémon Pokopia is an upcoming life simulation spin-off scheduled to release on March 5, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, focusing on creativity, exploration, and world-building rather than traditional battles. Players take on the role of a Ditto transformed into a human who arrives on a deserted island and gradually restores it into a lively habitat for Pokémon. The gameplay centers on gathering resources, crafting tools, farming, building structures, and shaping the environment while befriending Pokémon that help with exploration and environmental changes through their unique abilities. A real-time day and night cycle, diverse biomes, and customizable island development create a relaxing sandbox loop driven by progression and discovery. The story is light and slice of life, revolving around rebuilding nature, forming bonds with Pokémon, and expanding the island community, delivering a slower, cozy experience focused on interaction, customization, and long-term development, rather than a linear narrative or competitive gameplay. Witchbrook is an upcoming magical life simulation RPG planned for release in 2026 on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, although an exact release date has not been officially confirmed. The game places players in the role of a witch in training who enrolls at Witchbrook College in the seaside city of Mossport, where they attend classes, learn spells, brew potions, and gradually develop their magical abilities while living a customizable daily life. Gameplay focuses on a relaxed sandbox structure that includes exploring the town, building friendships and romances, decorating a personal cottage, and participating in seasonal events within a dynamic world featuring a day-night cycle and active NPC routines. The story is light and slice of life, centered on personal growth, community, and magical education rather than a linear narrative, creating an experience driven by player choices, social interaction, exploration, and cozy progression instead of combat-heavy gameplay. Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn Edition is set to release on May 22, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, including the full base game along with the Beyond the Dawn expansion that continues the story after the original ending. The gameplay features a fast-paced, real-time action RPG combat system where players control a party of characters, dodge attacks, chain combos, and trigger boost strikes for powerful cooperative finishers, encouraging strategic team synergy and timing. Exploration spans large, detailed regions filled with side quests, enemies, and character-driven skits that deepen the narrative experience. Progression focuses on upgrading gear, unlocking skills, and customizing party builds to adapt to different combat situations. The story follows Alphen, Xion, and their allies as they navigate the aftermath of the conflict between Dana and Rena, with the expansion exploring new tensions, character growth, and world rebuilding, delivering a narrative-driven journey that balances cinematic storytelling with dynamic action gameplay. Stars rather than structured objectives or combat. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is an upcoming side-scrolling platformer planned for release in spring 2026, exclusively on Nintendo Switch. 2. Delivering a creative adventure built around exploration and puzzle-driven gameplay. The story begins when a mysterious living encyclopedia falls onto Yoshi's island, prompting Yoshi to jump inside its pages to investigate strange creatures and uncover hidden secrets across different chapters. Each chapter functions as a themed level set within the book, featuring unique environments, interactive creatures, and collectible discoveries that expand the encyclopedia as players progress. Gameplay focuses on classic Yoshi-style platforming with light puzzle solving, environmental interaction, and accessible mechanics rather than complex combat, encouraging careful exploration and experimentation. The stop-motion-inspired visual style enhances the charm of the world, while the structure emphasizes discovery, creature interaction, and level-based progression, creating a relaxing and imaginative platforming experience centered on curiosity and adventure. Trails in the Sky Second Chapter is scheduled to release in fall 2026 for Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and other platforms, continuing the story-driven JRPG journey that directly follows the events of the first chapter. The gameplay builds on a refined, turn-based combat system where positioning, timing, and strategic use of arts, crafts, and team-based abilities play a central role, encouraging thoughtful party synergy rather than fast action. Players explore towns, regions, and story locations across the Kingdom of Liberal while completing quests, interacting with NPCs, and progressing through a narrative-heavy structure supported by character development and world building. The remake also features updated visuals, voice acting, and quality-of-life improvements, while preserving the classic orbment customization system that allows flexible character builds and tactical depth. The story follows Estelle as she searches for Joshua, while uncovering a larger conspiracy, delivering a more emotional and high-stakes continuation focused on relationships, mystery, and long-form storytelling. Hela is an upcoming open-world adventure game planned for release in 2026 on Nintendo Switch 2 and other platforms, offering a cozy, exploration-focused experience inspired by Scandinavian folklore. Players control a small mouse who serves as the familiar of a kind witch and sets out on a heartfelt journey to gather magical ingredients and help restore the world around them. Gameplay emphasizes exploration, environmental puzzles, resource collection, and traversal using a magical backpack that allows gliding, climbing, and swinging across varied landscapes such as forests, lakes, and villages. The game supports both solo play and cooperative multiplayer, encouraging teamwork to solve physics-based puzzles and interact with the environment in creative ways. The story is gentle and emotional, centered on healing, friendship, and helping a magical community, delivering a wholesome, narrative-driven adventure that focuses on discovery, cooperation, and world interaction, rather than combat-heavy gameplay. Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection is set to release on March 27, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and compatible platforms, compiling the full Mega Man Star Force trilogy in an enhanced package with modern quality-of-life features. The gameplay combines action RPG exploration with a fast-paced, grid-based battle system, where players use battle cards, timing, and positioning to execute attacks, chain combos, and adapt to enemy patterns in real time. Outside of battles, players explore interconnected areas, interact with NPCs, complete story events, and customize abilities through card builds and upgrades that shape different playstyles. The collection includes features like visual filters, autosave, encounter adjustments, and online battle support, making the experience more accessible while preserving the original mechanics. The story follows Geo Stellar, who merges with the alien Omega XES to become Mega Man and face wave-based threats, delivering a character-driven sci-fi narrative focused on growth, friendship, and digital-era conflicts. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is scheduled to release on June 3, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2 and other platforms, continuing the remake project with a larger, more exploration-focused RPG experience set after the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake. The gameplay blends real-time action combat with strategic command-based mechanics, allowing players to switch between party members, use abilities, magic, and tactical commands, and build synergy through coordinated attacks and materia customization. The world design expands into wide regions filled with side quests, minigames, and dynamic encounters that encourage exploration and progression beyond the main story. Players can upgrade weapons, unlock skills, and tailor party builds to suit different combat styles and enemy weaknesses. The story follows Cloud and his allies as they travel across the planet pursuing Sephiroth while confronting Shinra's actions, delivering a cinematic, character-driven narrative that balances emotional storytelling with large-scale adventure and deeper gameplay systems.
Kyoto Xanadu is an upcoming action RPG scheduled to release in summer 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. Set in an alternate modern-day world where Kyoto serves as the capital of Japan and a mysterious dimension known as Xanadu begins to overlap with reality. The gameplay is described as a dual-dimensional action RPG that blends real-time combat, dungeon exploration, and social simulation elements, as players control a student named Rei who attends an academy while also diving into a massive labyrinth beneath the city to battle monsters and uncover hidden truths. Combat focuses on fast-paced action encounters, boss fights, and progression through dangerous labyrinth zones, while the daily life system allows players to build bonds, attend school activities, and develop character growth outside of battles. The story revolves around supernatural incidents tied to the labyrinth and another world encroaching on Kyoto, delivering a narrative-driven experience that mixes character relationships, mystery, and exploration with action-focused dungeon gameplay and long-term character development. Shadow Tactics: Blades of the Shogun is set to release on March 18, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, bringing the tactical stealth strategy experience to the platform with its carefully designed mission-based structure. The gameplay focuses on real-time tactics and stealth, where players control a team of 5 unique specialists, each with distinct abilities, such as distraction, assassination, sniping, traps, and disguise, encouraging strategic coordination and precise execution rather than direct combat. Missions take place across detailed environments like castles, villages, forests, and military camps, where observing enemy patrol patterns, using the environment, and planning synchronized actions are essential for success. The story is set in Edo period Japan, after a new shogun rises to power and assembles an elite group of operatives to eliminate threats, conspiracies, and rebellion across the land, delivering a methodical, strategy-driven experience centered on planning, patience, and tactical teamwork. Mouse: PI for Hire is scheduled to release on March 19, 2026 for Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and other platforms, offering a first-person shooter experience inspired by 1930s noir cartoons and rubber hose animation. Players take on the role of Jack Pepper, a private investigator navigating the crime-ridden city of Mouseburg while solving cases that gradually connect to a larger conspiracy. The gameplay blends fast-paced shooting with exploration, puzzle solving, and light investigative mechanics, encouraging players to gather clues, interact with environments, and engage in dynamic combat using a variety of weapons and gadgets. Movement, timing, and weapon variety play a key role in encounters, alongside boss fights and stylized action sequences. The story unfolds through case-driven progression and noir-style storytelling, focusing on corruption, mystery, and detective work, while the hand-drawn black-and-white visual style and jazz-inspired atmosphere create a distinctive cinematic experience that balances action with narrative depth. Planet of Lana II: Children of the Leaf is scheduled to release on March 5, 2026 for Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and other platforms, continuing the cinematic puzzle platforming journey of Lana and her companion Mui in a larger and more emotionally driven sequel. The gameplay focuses on side-scrolling exploration, environmental puzzle solving, and stealth sequences where players must use timing, positioning, and Mui's unique abilities to interact with creatures, machines, and obstacles to progress through diverse environments. The sequel expands on the original with more complex puzzles, new biomes including underwater and vertical areas, and deeper companion-based mechanics that encourage strategic coordination and careful traversal. The story follows Lana and Mui as they explore a transformed world, uncover hidden secrets tied to the planet's past, and face new threats, delivering a narrative-driven experience centered on atmosphere, emotional storytelling, and immersive exploration rather than combat-heavy gameplay. Captain Tsubasa 2: World Fighters is scheduled to release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and other platforms, delivering an arcade-style soccer experience inspired by the anime's over-the-top action and cinematic presentation. The gameplay focuses on fast-paced matches that blend traditional football mechanics with dramatic special moves, allowing players to perform powerful super shots, skillful dribbles, tackles, and team-based techniques that emphasize momentum and spectacle over realistic simulation.
A key feature is the character creation system, where players can design their own athlete and progress through a story-driven campaign alongside iconic characters from the series, building rivalries and teamwork across international tournaments. Matches include dynamic offense and defense interactions, strategic positioning, and signature abilities that shift the flow of the game. The story follows a rising football journey centered on competition, friendship, and global championships in a narrative structured around dramatic match progression.
Turok Origins is an upcoming third-person action-adventure shooter planned for release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch, 2, and other platforms, reimagining the classic series with a modern, cooperative-focused structure. The gameplay emphasizes fast-paced combat against dinosaurs and alien creatures, blending shooting, melee attacks, and traversal across large, semi-open environments filled with exploration and dynamic encounters. Players can upgrade weapons, armor, and abilities, allowing flexible loadouts that adapt to different enemy types and mission challenges, while both solo play and online co-op are supported for shared battles and boss encounters. The story follows a new generation of Turok warriors, tasked with protecting humanity from a mysterious alien force that has unleashed prehistoric threats across multiple worlds, delivering a cinematic sci-fi adventure that combines primal survival themes with action-driven progression and large-scale combat. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties released on February 12, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2 and other platforms, delivering a full remake of Yakuza 3 alongside an additional story expansion that adds new narrative content and gameplay perspectives. The gameplay combines open-area exploration with real-time beat-em-up combat, where players control Kazuma Kiryu and engage in street fights using combos, heat actions, weapons, and upgraded combat mechanics inspired by the series' modern systems. Players can explore detailed districts and Okinawa locations, complete sub-stories, participate in minigames, and interact with various side activities that expand progression beyond the main campaign. The Dark Ties expansion introduces an alternate storyline that offers a different viewpoint and new combat dynamics. The story follows Kiryu as he manages an orphanage in Okinawa while being drawn back into criminal conflicts, delivering a cinematic crime drama centered on loyalty, responsibility, and underworld conspiracies. Scott Pilgrim EX is scheduled to release on March 3, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and other platforms, with expected compatibility on Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a modern action-adventure beat-em-up that expands the series with a more open and quest-driven structure. The gameplay focuses on fast-paced, combo-based melee combat, where players use punches, weapons, special moves, and character-specific abilities to defeat waves of enemies in chaotic, real-time battles. Unlike traditional linear brawlers, the game features a semi-open city to explore, side quests, shops, and progression systems that allow players to upgrade stats, equipment, and skills while tackling objectives in flexible order. Multiple playable characters with unique playstyles and co-op multiplayer enhance replayability and team synergy. The story presents a brand new narrative set in a time-warped Toronto filled with rival gangs, robots, and supernatural threats, blending humor, action, and character-driven storytelling in a stylish, retro-inspired adventure. Orbitals is an upcoming cooperative puzzle adventure planned for release in summer 2026, exclusively on Nintendo Switch 2, with a strong focus on teamwork and shared problem-solving. The gameplay is built around an asymmetric co-op structure, where two players control explorers with different abilities, requiring constant coordination to solve environmental puzzles, traverse obstacles, and interact with dynamic, space-themed environments. Players must communicate to activate mechanisms, navigate hazards, and uncover hidden paths, blending exploration, light platforming, and puzzle solving into a progression system centered on cooperation rather than combat. The story follows two space explorers traveling through a cosmic storm while trying to save their damaged station home, creating a narrative-driven journey focused on discovery, friendship, and survival. With its retro-inspired visual style and level design built around cooperative mechanics, the experience emphasizes coordination, exploration, and strategic teamwork across imaginative sci-fi settings. Monster Hunter Stories 3: Twisted Reflection is scheduled to release on March 13, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2 and other platforms, continuing the story-driven JRPG spin-off with a deeper focus on Rider and Monstie Bonds. The gameplay features strategic turn-based combat, where players fight alongside their monsties using elemental matchups, tactical commands, and coordinated attacks that reward planning and team synergy rather than fast, real-time action. Exploration spans large regions filled with quests, monster dens, and collectible eggs that can be hatched to raise and customize monsties with different abilities and traits. The game also introduces expanded exploration systems and a habitat restoration mechanic that encourages world interaction and long-term progression.
The story follows the heir of Azuria, the last Rathalos rider, who partners with Princess Eleanor to investigate the mysterious crystal encroachment and prevent rising tensions between nations, delivering a narrative-focused adventure centered on friendship, monsters, and strategic battles.
Digimon's story, Time Stranger, is scheduled to release on July 10, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a story-driven, monster-taming JRPG that blends exploration, creature-raising, and strategic turn-based combat. The gameplay revolves around building a team of Digimon, exploiting elemental and attribute weaknesses, and using skills, cross-arts, and tactical commands to create synergy during battles. Players can collect, train, and evolve Digimon through branching Digivolution paths, customization systems, and bonding mechanics that influence growth and abilities. Exploration spans both the human world and the digital world, featuring quests, side activities, and narrative events that expand progression and world building. The story follows an agent investigating mysterious phenomena linked to the distortion of time and the connection between worlds, delivering a character-driven adventure focused on bonds, mystery, and long-term progression through monster collection and strategic gameplay. Tales of Berseria Remastered is scheduled to release on February 26, 2026 for Nintendo Switch, with compatibility on Nintendo Switch 2, bringing the action JRPG back with enhanced visuals, smoother performance, and modern quality-of-life improvements. The gameplay features a real-time combat system where players control Velvet and her party, chaining ardas, combos, and special abilities while freely switching characters to create strategic team synergy during battles. Exploration takes place across a large, interconnected world filled with towns, dungeons, side quests, and character skits that expand the narrative and deepen world building. Progression focuses on upgrading gear, unlocking skills, and customizing party builds to adapt to different combat situations and enemy weaknesses. The story follows Velvet Crow on a revenge-driven journey after a life-changing betrayal, as she travels with a group of outcasts and gradually uncovers hidden truths about the world, delivering a darker, character-driven narrative with emotional themes and cinematic storytelling. Valheim is planned to release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, bringing the open-world survival sandbox experience to the platform with optimized controls and co-op support. The gameplay focuses on exploration, crafting, building, and survival within a procedurally generated world inspired by Norse mythology, where players gather resources, craft tools and armor, construct bases, and sail across dangerous seas to discover new biomes. Combat involves fighting creatures, bosses, and mythological threats, while steadily upgrading gear and unlocking new crafting recipes that expand progression. The game supports both solo play and online co-op, encouraging teamwork in base building, exploration, and large-scale battles. The story is minimal and atmospheric, placing players in the role of a fallen Viking sent to the 10th world of Valheim to prove their worth to Odin, creating a player-driven journey focused on survival, discovery, and long-term progression rather than a traditional linear narrative. Granblue Fantasy Relink, Endless Ragnarok, is scheduled to release on July 9, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2 and other platforms, offering an expanded version of the action RPG with additional content, quests, and progression systems. The gameplay features fast-paced, real-time combat, where players control a party of characters, chain skills, dodge attacks, and coordinate powerful link attacks and abilities against large enemies and cinematic boss encounters. Players can adventure solo with AI companions, or team up in online co-op to tackle high-level quests and challenging missions. Exploration takes place across the floating islands of the Sky Realm, with side quests, gear upgrades, character builds, and customization systems that deepen long-term progression and combat strategy. The story continues the crew's journey as they face new threats tied to a larger, world-ending crisis, delivering a narrative-driven adventure focused on teamwork, character bonds, and large-scale action battles in a vibrant fantasy setting. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam is scheduled to release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, marking the return of the classic puzzle adventure series with a brand new mystery set, 1 year after earlier events in the timeline. The gameplay follows the traditional Layton formula, centered on exploration, investigation, and solving a wide variety of logic puzzles, riddles, and brain teasers that are integrated directly into story progression. Players explore environments, interact with characters, search for hidden clues, and uncover collectible elements while advancing through a narrative-driven structure. The story takes place in the steampunk-inspired town of Steam Bison in America, where Professor Layton reunites with Luke to investigate a strange incident linked to advanced steam technology and unusual occurrences in the city. The experience emphasizes deduction, curiosity, and storytelling,
delivering a cinematic, mystery-focused adventure built around puzzle-solving and immersive world-building, rather than action gameplay.
The Duskbloods is an upcoming action RPG scheduled to release in 2026 exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2, featuring a dark fantasy setting and a strong multiplayer-focused design. The gameplay blends PvE and PvP elements in matches that support multiple players, where participants control customizable vampire-like warriors known as Bloodsworn, each with distinct weapons, abilities, and traits that influence combat roles and playstyles. Combat emphasizes strategic positioning, skill usage, and objective-based progression rather than simple elimination, with players earning points through battles, encounters, and dynamic events across atmospheric Gothic environments. The game also includes character customization systems tied to blood history, affecting abilities and gameplay approach. The story takes place during the twilight of humanity, where different eras and locations converge, and the Bloodsworn fight for a mysterious power called the First Blood, delivering a lore-driven narrative built around dark themes, multiplayer encounters, and immersive world-building. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition is scheduled to release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, serving as a definitive version of the acclaimed open-world action RPG that includes the base game, the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, and additional customization content such as new armor and torrent appearance options. The gameplay focuses on a vast open-world structure set in the Lands Between, where players explore interconnected regions, dungeons, and castles while engaging in challenging real-time combat built around dodging, timing, stamina management, and diverse weapon builds. Exploration can be done on foot or horseback, with seamless world traversal and optional online multiplayer elements that allow cooperation or competitive interactions. Progression revolves around character builds, gear upgrades, and skill customization that support multiple playstyles such as melee, magic, or hybrid combat. The story follows a tarnished warrior seeking to restore the power of the Elden Ring and become Elden Lord, uncovering the mysteries of a fractured world shaped by fallen demigods, deep lore, and environmental storytelling. The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion Remastered is an upcoming open-world action RPG planned for release in 2026 on Nintendo Switch 2. Bringing the classic Cyrodiil adventure back with modern visuals and refined systems. The game follows the hero of Kvatch during a crisis after the Emperor's death, as Oblivion gates open across the province and a Daedric invasion threatens the world. Gameplay keeps the series' signature freedom, letting players explore a massive world filled with cities, dungeons, and dynamic side quests, while building their character through skill-based progression, factions, and flexible playstyles like melee, magic, or stealth. Combat remains real-time, with improved animations and smoother controls, while NPCs feature enhanced routines and interactions that make the world feel more reactive. The remaster also includes all major expansions, alongside upgraded graphics, lighting, textures, and UI, aiming to preserve the original gameplay depth while delivering a more modern and immersive RPG experience on newer hardware. Fatal Frame 2: Crimson Butterfly Remake is a survival horror remake scheduled to release on March 12, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, reimagining the classic psychological horror experience with modern visuals and refined mechanics, while preserving its original atmosphere. The story follows twin sisters Mio and Mayu, who become lost in the abandoned Minakami village, a place haunted by tragic rituals and lingering spirits, where uncovering the mystery behind the village becomes key to survival. Gameplay focuses on slow, tension-driven exploration, puzzle-solving, and defensive encounters using the iconic camera obscura, which allows players to photograph ghosts in real time to weaken and defeat them, emphasizing timing and positioning rather than action-heavy combat. The remake enhances lighting, environments, and character models while improving controls, camera responsiveness, and ghost behavior to create a more immersive horror experience. It also includes upgraded camera abilities, additional narrative elements, and quality-of-life improvements that maintain the eerie pacing and psychological tension the series is known for. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition is an upcoming open-world RPG set to release on February 24, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering the full post-apocalyptic experience with all major expansions and additional content in one package. The story follows the sole survivor, who emerges from Vault 111 into the devastated Commonwealth in search of their missing son, while navigating a world shaped by factions, moral choices, and dynamic quests. Gameplay emphasizes freedom, combining real-time shooting with a tactical VATS system that slows combat for strategic targeting, alongside deep character progression through perks, skills, and dialogue decisions that influence outcomes. A key mechanic is settlement building, allowing players to construct bases, manage resources, craft gear, and customize weapons and armor to suit different playstyles.
With large-scale exploration, environmental storytelling, and upgraded visuals and performance optimizations, the Anniversary Edition aims to provide a complete and immersive portable version of one of the series' most expansive RPG adventures. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a story-driven action-adventure game scheduled to release on May 12, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, set in 1937 between the events of classic Indiana Jones films. The story follows Indy as he investigates a mysterious global phenomenon linked to an ancient power called the Great Circle, traveling across diverse locations such as temples, cities, and historical sites, while racing against rival forces. Gameplay is primarily presented in first person to enhance immersion, with seamless shifts to third person during traversal, like climbing, platforming, and width-based movement. The experience blends cinematic exploration, environmental puzzles, stealth, and situational combat, encouraging players to observe surroundings and approach encounters creatively rather than relying on constant action. Levels mix linear narrative segments with larger, explorable areas featuring side objectives and hidden discoveries, while mechanics like whip interactions, puzzle solving, and contextual tools reinforce the adventure focus and create a grounded, exploration-driven gameplay loop. The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales, is an HD 2D action RPG planned for release on June 18, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, combining classic pixel-style presentation with modern real-time combat and exploration systems. The story is set on the dangerous continent of Philadelphia, where the last human kingdom survives behind a magical barrier, and follows Elliot and his fairy companion Faye as they venture beyond safety to investigate ancient ruins and uncover a mystery tied to a powerful artifact that connects different eras. Gameplay focuses on fast-paced, real-time combat, using a variety of weapons such as swords, bows, and chains, each offering distinct abilities and upgrade paths through enhancement systems. Exploration plays a central role, featuring dungeons, puzzles, and open environments filled with secrets, while Faye assists with navigation, item collection, and support abilities. Additional mechanics like dashing, parrying, shielding, and puzzle-solving tools create a dynamic loop that balances action, strategy, and discovery. Resident Evil Requiem is a survival horror title scheduled to release on February 27, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, continuing the series' focus on tense, story-driven horror rather than open-world design. The story follows new and returning characters, including FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft and Leon S. Kennedy, as they investigate a mysterious outbreak connected to past bioorganic incidents and hidden experiments tied to Umbrella's legacy. Gameplay centers on atmospheric exploration, puzzle solving, and careful resource management, where ammo and healing items are limited, encouraging strategic encounters instead of constant action. Players can switch between first-person and third-person perspectives, enhancing immersion while navigating dark environments such as ruined facilities, labs, and infected locations. Combat blends modern responsiveness with classic survival horror pacing, featuring dynamic enemy behavior, cinematic set pieces, and a strong emphasis on tension, storytelling, and environmental detail, powered by Capcom's R.E.V.O engine. Pragmata is a sci-fi action-adventure game, scheduled to release on April 24, 2026, for Nintendo Switch 2, offering a cinematic and strategic gameplay experience set on a mysterious lunar research station. The story follows astronaut Hugh and an android girl named Diana as they attempt to survive a hostile AI-controlled environment while uncovering the truth behind the station and finding a way back to Earth. Gameplay is built around controlling both characters in tandem, blending third-person shooting, mobility, and real-time hacking mechanics into a unique combat loop. Hugh focuses on movement, jet-assisted dodging, and weapon-based combat, while Diana supports by hacking enemy systems through puzzle-like interfaces that weaken defenses and expose vulnerabilities. Exploration plays a key role, with futuristic environments, environmental puzzles, and coordinated encounters that emphasize strategy, timing, and teamwork, creating a more thoughtful and tactical pace compared to purely action-focused games. And there you have it, the top 40 upcoming games for Switch and Switch 2 that you need to watch out for. From stealth classics to innovative new experiences, there's honestly something here for every type of gamer. Which game are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more gaming content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.